Hello, I'm Nicky Scheller. Welcome to the programme. We start with some developing news out of Venezuela after those two earthquakes that struck on Wednesday, devastating the country. An 11-year-old boy has been rescued alive from the rubble. These are pictures of the moment that the rescuers brought him out on a stretcher in Caraballo in the north of the country. Now you can see that they are putting those reflective heat blankets over him, and the moment that they brought him out from the rubble, there was clapping from the rescuers. The picture's taken a few minutes before he was brought out on those stretchers as those teams tried to delicately get him out without any of the other rubble that was around them moving. The country's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, shared this video on social media saying, "At this moment, every life is a source of hope for Venezuela." So an 11-year-old boy pulled alive from the rubble more than 3 days now after that quake. What we do know is more than 1,400 people are now known to have died, but the true figure thought to be much higher. Tens of thousands are still missing. These are some of the latest pictures that we've had in as those rescuers struggle to reach people trapped under collapsed buildings. We have now passed what's often considered to be that crucial 72-hour mark for finding people alive. National rescue teams are scarce, although international rescuers from Mexico, Spain, the US and the UK have arrived to join the rescue effort. Our first report this hour is from Will Grant, who is travelling towards the epicentre of the disaster west of the capital, Caracas.
With each moment of miraculous recovery, Venezuelans' fragile hopes are briefly lifted. The images of young children being pulled alive from the rubble or of lost family members being found gives the rescue workers the strength to keep going despite the exhaustion. The problem is, such moments are becoming fewer and less likely. And relatives of the staggering 50,000 people believed to be missing are fast losing hope.
Anger at the authorities is deepening. The post-earthquake response is a race against time, one which desperate relatives say the government is losing through poor coordination and mismanagement. The picture in the coastal state of La Guaira, the worst hit area, is as bleak a reality as this oil-rich yet impoverished nation has faced in decades. Once you actually reach La Guaira, it isn't hard to see why frustrations are beginning to boil over. Residents here say there are still people trapped beneath the rubble and rebar, that their loved ones still can be reached and pulled to safety. But instead they're waiting on authorities which seem simply overwhelmed by the size of the task before them. The interim president, Delcy Rodriguez, has been on the receiving end of people's resentment when she visited the badly damaged Caracas neighbourhood of Chacao with its mayor. "You're campaigning in the middle of a tragedy. The government isn't doing anything for the people," yelled this resident. The hospitals along the northern coastline are at breaking point. A healthcare system that has been underfunded for decades is now trying to cope with a demand that would be tough for countries with much better infrastructure. Doctors and nurses are doing what they can in the most trying circumstances most will ever experience in their lives. And the survivors' stories from inside the wards are chilling.
It was awful. So many people died. So many family members went missing. I lost my house completely, but we're all right, thank God.
After earthquakes, rescue teams say the first 72 hours are crucial. Those have now passed. And as the scale of this disaster becomes clearer to Venezuelans, they're facing the grim truth that the search for survivors will very soon become a task of retrieving the victims' bodies. Will Grant, BBC News, La Guaira.
Well, the BBC's Vanessa Silva has visited a hospital in the capital, Caracas, and sent us this update.
We are here outside of one of the hospitals in Caracas that have received injuries from La Guaira in these last days. We speak with a doctor that mentioned that at least 600 people injured were bringing to here, most of them, of course, with fractures. And he also mentioned that they had traumatized and anxious and panic attack. We have seen also that people have come with donations, but doctors report that they have enough supplies here, that this hospital is not collapses at others, especially those in Vargas state, in La Guaira state, where the earthquakes hit with more force on Wednesday. We have also seen people that comes to look in the list that they have published of the people that they have treated here in case someone is looking for them, but there is also people that put pictures of their loved ones that are missing, are lost, in case that someone can find them, has a number to call and report that they have appeared alive.
Vanessa Silva in Caracas. Let me just show you those pictures again that have come in the last hour or so. This is of the moment that an 11-year-old boy was pulled alive from the rubble, as we've been saying, more than 3 days after those two powerful earthquakes struck Venezuela. The acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, of course, celebrating that rescue, saying every life was a source of hope. But of course, there are many families who are desperately searching through the rubble for their loved ones and their belongings, listening carefully for any sound that might indicate someone is alive, trapped under the concrete and the debris. And we can see how this operation is very delicate to be able to get that 11-year-old boy out whilst not disturbing any of the other rubble around. The rescuers, of course, put themselves at risk when they're doing this, but the teams, and they've brought teams in from Mexico, Spain, the US, the UK, all arriving to help with this effort. There you can see the rescuers clapping as they brought that 11-year-old boy out alive.